might be Broadway and Company.
Well, if he doesn't show up, maybe we can use the other preacher.
We got one out there. Jameson's a preacher.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. We're gonna call this meeting October 19th, 2020 to order. Our first thing to do is invocation. And is he here or not?
Well, no, but we have a substitute who'd like to do it if you're okay.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, good.
Mr. Cole's going to be here.
How are you, sir?
Doing great. I'll just pray and do the invocation for you guys if you want to take a moment of silence, or feel free to pray with me. And do I do the pledge too?
We'll do it.
Okay. Let's pray. God, thank you so much for a wonderful day. I thank you for each and every one of these leaders that's in this room. I pray that you'll be with them and give them guidance and clarity, even to make tough decisions. I pray that all of their needs are met and that you provide more than what they need. We love you and we thank you for the opportunity to serve this great city. We don't take it for granted, and we ask for your guidance humbly. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you, sir. We got roll call?
Mayor Allen.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Broadway.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Councilmember Pollack.
Present.
Councilmember Matthews.
Present.
Councilmember Ham.
Here.
Councilmember Acop.
Here. Okay, we're all here. Next we have presentations. We got Beverly Weeks and Jonathan Chavis with the Cry Freedom Mission.
Minutes, did you want to approve the minutes?
Next we got minutes. The work session and regular meeting of October 5th, 2020.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, the minutes are passed. Y'all watching me a little better than I thought you were. Come on in, go to the podium right there, Beverly, if that's where y'all want to be.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to get started. I'm Beverly Weeks, and I am the CEO of Cry Freedom Missions and Wayne Pregnancy Center, and we just come to educate you a little bit about the resources that we are providing for the community. Just since COVID, our numbers have tripled, and that's on the Pregnancy Center side and also on the Cry Freedom Mission side. On the Pregnancy Center side, just since March, we have done over 500 pregnancy tests. And we'll show you that that's almost 1/3 of the births that we have here in the county. And of those pregnancy tests, of the 500 pregnancy tests, roughly about 67 of those are for girls from the ages of 15 to 19. Also, during COVID, our numbers have tripled on the human trafficking side, so I thought it was imperative to kind of explain to you guys what is the difference between prostitution and also human trafficking. Our state right now, the state of North Carolina, has the 10th highest numbers in reported cases for human trafficking. Human trafficking is when there is force, coercion, or fraud involved. Force, we all know, is the white van that's pulling up and snatching a young girl or a young guy to place them into prostitution or for sexual servitude. Less than 10% of human trafficking is those kind of cases. The other cases for human trafficking are coercion and fraud. And why don't you educate them just a little bit about that?
Okay, so fraud is basically they're selling them the lie. They're telling them that if you come and do this services with me, we're going to make lots of money, you're going to be able to get that modeling career you want, you're going to be able to be the actor, you're going to be able to have all this stuff. And so it's the deception. It's the piece where we make all these promises, offering them the dream life. And then, of course, it ends in modern-day slavery. And then the coercion piece is where basically I'm psychologically or even physically coercing you to say, if you don't do this, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill your family, or there's threats of harm to them. And so those are usually the common ways in which an individual is kept in the trafficking. And so what we're seeing take place is it really is modern day slavery. There's about 250 million people enslaved right now in the world, which is more than if you took history and combined it. We've got more people enslaved in our generation right now than if you took all of history and combined it, which to me is an astounding statistic, and it's a problem that's not just somewhere overseas in other countries, but here in America, we are the #1 trafficking nation in the world.
So what I saw is I saw a group of girls that were coming into Wayne Pregnancy Center because there at the pregnancy center, we offer free pregnancy tests, we offer free ultrasounds, we have parenting classes, we have birthing classes. Right now, we have roughly about 3,000 clients at the pregnancy center. All of these services are absolutely free. What I saw was a group of girls that were coming in to get a pregnancy test. They would come in to get a pregnancy test and they would never have an ID on them. Most of the time, they would come in and they looked malnourished, or they would have an older gentleman or another gentleman with them. And when I was in the counseling sessions with them, they would actually have to look to the individual for permission to answer the question. So that right there was a red flag for me. Our team has been highly trained with the FBI. We work very closely with the SBI. We've been trained with the SBI too to also identify possible survivors of human trafficking. So what I did is I took one of the girls home that day, and I took her back to a hotel, a low-income hotel that's known for criminal activity, known for drugs, and known for prostitution. And I remember taking her into the room that day, and what I saw that day changed everything for me. It was extremely evident that she was being prostituted out of that hotel room. And so what we did from that day is we started an hotel outreach. We go into our city and also all across eastern North Carolina to hotels specifically that are known for criminal activity. We go every week and we take resources to the hotels, to the girls that we're meeting. We also have an outreach team that goes into campsites, goes into the woods. We specifically also look for abandoned crack houses so that we can take resources and we can take supplies in, and we can start to build a relationship with these girls and with these young guys. From that, from the hotel outreach, I noticed that these group of women and these guys that were being arrested for prostitution, for theft charges, or for criminal activity were ending up in our jail system. And so I went to our sheriff and asked him, I said, this would be a great time if you would allow me to come into the jail system and actually teach classes to all of our inmates, life skill classes, parenting classes, banking classes, any kind of classes that would allow me to continue the relationship with the girls and the guys that I had met on the streets, and that would be an opportune time for me to get them away from their pimp and from their drug dealers. And then I'll work with the lawyers and with the judges and with the court system and with the SBI to take the young girl or the young guy straight from jail to a safe house. And we actually have an 8-bed safe house where we can take the girl there and we can give her trauma counseling, therapy. I have an RN who's on staff 24 hours a day. I also have a case manager and have peer support specialists and certified therapists that actually work with them and give them life skills.
And so she gave you kind of an overview of things. We're just going to jump through these slides real quick and just make sure that we cover everything. She just bumped me off of the list here. There we go. All right, so on the pregnancy center side, she's already mentioned some of the things that we do. But what we have here is we do free pregnancy test. That one did, I don't know what it did there. We have free pregnancy tests. We do free ultrasounds. We have parenting and birthing classes. We also have counseling classes there with mentors that walk through with that lady, not just while she's pregnant, but until that child is 2 years old. And so say an individual comes in and they don't know what they're going to do. They don't know how they're going to take care of their child. And one of their fears is, how am I going to financially provide for this child? And our counselors are there to say, not only are we here for you during the pregnancy and giving you the resources that you need, but until this child is 2 years old, you can come to classes, you can be a part of with a mentor, and we'll actually help provide diapers, wipes, formula, clothes, crib, everything that they could possibly need until that child turns 2 years old. And so part of that dynamic is they go to classes, they are part of life skill classes. She mentioned it earlier. We do financial classes, budgeting classes with them. We do cooking classes, parenting classes. We run the gamut. We're looking at how can we holistically help this individual, not just build a healthy family, but have a successful life. And so we also work with referring them out to services. We work closely with the health department, with the WIC office, helping them get Medicaid, helping them get their license, helping them get jobs. And so we're looking at the holistic approach of how can we better them and help their family to succeed. On the next slide, you could jump to the next one. On Cry Freedom Mission, she mentioned these 3 areas of outreach. And this is really essential because for the Cry Freedom side, it's all about relationship and building trust, because most of the individuals that are being trafficked, they've been violated so much, and many times it's by people that they know. So she gave you a statistic that less than 10% are people that are kidnapped and taken by force. Over 80% of the people that are in trafficking are being trafficked by somebody that they know, whether it be an immediate family, a boyfriend, an employer. And so it's not the people that we don't know that we have to be looking for, it's the people that we do know. And oftentimes the question is asked, well, what does a trafficker look like? And it could look like any of us. Okay, there's no specific profile that we can identify because it's women, men, it's young people, it's old people, and so there's no really specific thing that we can tell you, but we can show you the signs. And so we go into, not only do we go into do the jail and hotel and street outreach to connect with them, but we also go and do trainings for law enforcement, we do trainings for medical providers, we do trainings in our schools to help them to identify the signs and to educate even our young people in the schools of what to look out for, how we become vulnerable. And really, right now, the reason we're seeing a large uptick is because everything has gone to social media. And during COVID, of course, everybody was isolated, so they're online in their gaming systems, they're online on Facebook, they're online on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it, and they're getting on these. And predators, they've been kicking it into overgear because it's a very low-risk, high-reward criminal activity. Statistically, they say you're more likely to be struck by lightning than to be charged and convicted of human trafficking.
So human trafficking right now is a $150 billion industry a year. Second only to drugs. Let me put it to you this way. You can sell a bag of drugs just one time, but you can sell a young girl or a young guy over and over and over again. One of my concerns when I was in the jail with the inmates was I was doing intake on every single female inmate that we have here in the Wayne County Jail. And when I did intakes with them, I was finding that roughly about 90% of them had been sexually assaulted in some way. And so another concern for me was we were holding them in the Wayne County Jail, and I felt like a lot of them, most of them had drug addictions, and they were receiving absolutely no services, of course, inside of the jail for the addiction. And so we also do a 12-step program, an addiction recovery program inside for the inmates to help them get some of the building steps that they would need before they re-enter into the community.
Okay, so on the next slide, this is actually a picture of one of the living rooms in our safe house. And so we have an 8-bed cottage on one side, and this is actually the larger building. We've got 4 more beds upstairs, and then we've got a huge facility here. And it's out in the country, it's isolated, it's a secure place. It's a beautiful place, and one of the things that we do, and if you ever come by the pregnancy center, I encourage you to come and take a tour. If you go down to our shop down here on the corner, what you're going to see is we do things with excellence because we want people to come in and feel valued. Because we feel like every life is valuable, no matter what choices that they've made, no matter where they've been in life, whether they're still in the womb or whether they're about to enter in the grave, we believe that every life is valuable. And so we want them to feel valued, we want them to feel safe, we want them to feel loved and cared for. And so we have this safe house. This is an emergency safe house that we have here. And then we also have 2 long care facilities. One is a rehab that we refer people out to in Moorhead, and then we also have a safe house that's a long-term safe house up to 2 years in New Bern. And so this is a really important piece because we can't say we're trying to get you out of this life and have nowhere for you to go. And so this is really important for us. On the next slide, you just see the picture of the shop. This is right around the corner.
So it was important for me when young girls or young guys were on the street. It's one thing to say, hey, we love you and we want you off the streets, but it's another thing to say, hey, I'm going to give you employment and I'm going to give you a job opportunity. So what we did is we had to come up with funding because for me, it cost me roughly between $500 and $700 per month to put an individual into rehab. And so what we did is we had a donor that owned a quaint little shop down at the corner of down on Center Street, and so they allowed us to use the shop. And then the young girls that were coming in to the pregnancy center, those that were on the streets in addiction, maybe living on the streets, in the woods, whatever, we started offering them jobs. And so we started teaching them how to make jewelry. We also started teaching them how to make things like candles, soaps, lotions, that kind of thing. And we felt like it was imperative to provide them some kind of employment. And so we provide them employment, and we actually pay them $10 an hour. And then we take the items and we sell them down at our shop on Center Street. And that's the monies that we use to kind of supplement the incomes that are needed at the Safe House and also to provide employment for the girls. So we're actually providing employment and getting them off of the streets.
Okay. So the next slide, these are just some of our numbers from our last fiscal year. I think you skipped one. Go back one. Go keep going. There you go. That's fine. We'll do this one. This is the Cry Freedom one here. So this is just some of the numbers from last year, just for you to see how many people we were reaching out to. And so there in the jail outreach, you see 1,275. We did actual 28 rescues, and that means we got them off the street into safe housing. Then we also had hotel and street outreach. We administered over 500 people. In total, all the services that we provided on the Cry Freedom side were estimated at about $1.45 million. Then the next slide, this is the pregnancy center one's not there. Here, I'll read you what the pregnancy center one says. It is, we did over 12,000 things of services that are estimated at $1.8 million. We did 570 pregnancy tests last year. She already mentioned that since COVID, we've already done over 500, so our numbers have gone up dramatically. Last year, we did 100 ultrasounds. This year, we've already done over 330. We had 2,000 plus clients last year. We're at 3,000 plus clients now. And so we are seeing a huge increase. But in total, our services last year that we gave to the county for free was $3.25 million worth of services to help provide our community with the help that they need, and specifically the most vulnerable in our community that were apt to be trafficked, or those that were being trafficked. And so we're just here just to present those things so you're aware of the services that we're providing, and that we care about our community, and we care about those throughout our community that may be in bad situations. And so,
and we're always looking for education opportunities to come into your churches and your homes. Often I'll hear people on the streets and they'll say, we have no trafficking here in Goldsboro. We may have some prostitution, but we don't have any trafficking. I can tell you, with working extremely closely with the SBI, I was involved in an SBI sting here within our county just within the last month. And in that sting, I was allowed to come in to love on the girls, to offer them safe housing. And just between the hours of 6 o'clock and the hours of 11 o'clock at night, we were able to solicit over 10 of your children right here in our community who were online and who were offering sexual services. And it's not what you think. It's not just some poor individual just off of the streets a lot of times. What was disheartening for me was bringing in a young girl, and I found myself weeping as I looked at her, and I said, what has led you to this place? We grew up in the same church. The same church, we had the same friends, but through drug addictions, because a lot of times pimps and also predators, traffickers will prey on people who are very vulnerable, people with emotional needs, people who have addictions. If you know someone and they're actively in addiction, and they've been in addiction for over a year, I can guarantee you that most of the time they have been sexually exploited in some way. So I wanted to just open the floor and see if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer any questions for you. I can tell you that the Pregnancy Center, the Safe House, and Cry Freedom Missions, the shop, we operate roughly on a $900,000 budget a year, and every bit of that money comes from donations. Every bit of that money is donations from our communities, whether it's individuals, churches, or business. It's all from me knocking on doors, going place to place, sharing about our services, sharing about what we provide, and saying, look, would you partner with us? How much do you think a life is worth? Do you really value souls in our community? People ask us, why would you do it? Why would you leave the comfort of your home at night at 2 o'clock in the morning to face a pimp in a hotel that, yes, has had a gun before? Why would you do it? Why would you leave your own children? Jonathan has 5 children. I have 2 children. Why would you put yourself at risk? And this is what I tell them. For so long, I've heard people advocate and talk about human trafficking and sex trafficking, but nobody was going out and saying, let's rescue them. For me, these are somebody's sons. These are somebody's daughters. These are somebody's grandsons, and these are somebody's granddaughters. And if we don't go, who will go? Who will go?
Beverly, I have a question. During the initial stages of COVID, did not the Wayne Pregnancy Center assume some of the activities, pregnancy tests, et cetera, that the health department had, which had shut down, would have been providing?
That is true. A lot of people have asked me that question, yes. Initially, during the onset of COVID, matter of fact, the lieutenant governor called me himself and he said, Beverly, I'm hearing that you have some extreme high numbers in your area with the pregnancy center and with trafficking. For us, the health department limited their services during the onset of COVID, and they were not offering the pregnancy tests. So the pregnancy center stepped up. I had to hire additional staff. We have roughly about 40 volunteers, but we were very restricted as to what volunteers we brought in. I have an RN on staff, and then I have 3 medical physicians who volunteer their times. There's Dr. Teague Horton, who's at Goldsboro Pediatrics, and then also I have Dr. Stephen Lease, he volunteers with me, and then I also have Dr. Bill DeRugio, who volunteers with me. We had to bring in additional staff to meet the demand because the health department asked if we would partner with them because they kind of needed to concentrate on the efforts of the health department and trying to provide services for COVID. So yes, sir, we took it a lot.
The WIC department, they couldn't find formula because when COVID hit, it was like, I don't know why everybody decided to buy formula that didn't have a baby. And so we ended up providing formula from people as far as Durham. People were coming from all over trying to get formula just for their babies. And so we estimated about $120,000 worth of resources that we had to give away that was outside of our normal everyday
And you
budget.
did not get reimbursed by?
We got reimbursed nothing. Again, of the $900,000 budget that comes into the Wayne Pregnancy Center and Crawford admissions, it is all strictly donation. And we all know how budgets work. You can say your budget's $900,000, but for us, our fiscal year just started. It runs from July until June. And so now it's automatically, Beverly, get out on the trails. You have to start knocking on doors and sharing the mission and the vision of what you do to raise the monies. Absolutely none of that is any government funding that I receive.
Any more questions?
I do have a question. So I'm in the school system, and I know they attributed the spikes to students not being in school, but if it's safe to say, the health department kind of shut down some of its testing, therefore, you guys' numbers went up quite naturally
Yes,
because you
sir.
partnered with them.
Yes, sir, that is true.
So-
It's some, yes.
So I guess what I would ask is, do you think that the numbers that you have are an accurate depiction of the inner city? Because I know a lot of the kids and students in the inner city go to the health department. So would you attribute that spike to COVID, or would you attribute it to the shutdown of the funding or the programming with the health department?
No, just in a normal, like all the school systems, they send all their people to us anyway.
Okay.
And so like, for example, our nurse manager, she actually goes in and teaches childbirth education for every single pregnant student in Wayne County.
Okay.
So we already see those, so we would see those numbers no matter what. And then the health department refers their individuals to us to get pregnancy tests usually anyway. And so I would say probably 70 to 80% of the health department people come to us anyway. And so there may be some additional that normally would have gone that came to us because they have to pay for the pregnancy test there. It's free for us.
Okay.
And so they usually refer them over to us anyway. And so, so a large percentage of that is probably because of COVID, because of the isolation. Kids were at home, people were,
Right.
you know, they didn't have nothing else to do, you know.
Right.
But I don't think that we'll see actually true numbers of that until you're waiting, because again, that was on the onset of March, okay? Now you've got all the time that everybody's been home. You'll see, I believe, we'll still see the teen pregnancy rate and pregnancy rates rise on a whole, okay? Because of course people were in isolation. They were not going out for doctor's appointment. They were not going out for birth control. I think you're going to see an increase.
And just a lot of people were scared to go out, period, to the doctors and so forth, so.
But I appreciate what y'all do. Thank you.
Thank you for what you do. Anything from anybody else? We all are a great service to our community.
Thank you. We love the city, and we appreciate all your guys' help and support and what you guys do for our citizens.
Thank you.
Yep.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Good presentation. All right, next we got the proclamation honoring the accomplishments of Pastor Steve Holder. You got that, Matt? Welcome, everyone. Do y'all, anybody need a chair? You want us to get you a chair? You sure? All right, so Councilmember Broadway is going to read, huh?
I've got it, Mayor.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Ham is going to read the proclamation.
And stand up. This proclamation is honoring the accomplishments of Pastor Steve Holder. Whereas Pastor Steve Holder has lived in Goldsboro nearly his entire life, and whereas Pastor Steve Holder has been leading Bethel Church since May 10, 1986, whereas Pastor Steve Holder has influenced countless lives of individuals in the city of Goldsboro and all over the world, including an outreach of more than 50 children in Source Materials, Haiti, and multiple churches in the Dominican Republic. And whereas Pastor Steve Holder represents the city of Goldsboro all over the country and world as president of the Fellowship Network, and whereas Pastor Steve Holder has led Bethel Church through major congregational growth, and whereas Pastor Steve Holder has invested into countless young leaders and given them opportunities to serve and lead in meaningful roles. And whereas Pastor Steve Holder has helped to improve the lives of the citizens of Goldsboro spiritually, physically, mentally, socially, and financially. And whereas the congregation of Bethel Church and the citizens of the city of Goldsboro would like to thank Pastor Steve Holder for all his work and accomplishments. Now, therefore, I, Chuck Allen, Mayor of the City of Goldsboro, North Carolina, do hereby recognize and respectfully honor the accomplishments of Pastor Steve Holder as he transitions from lead pastor of Bethel Church and appreciates the contributions he has made to the City of Goldsboro, North Carolina. And witness, therefore, have unto set my hand and fix the seal of the City of Goldsboro, North Carolina, this 19th day of October 2020. And we have a plaque for you, sir. I'll present that to you.
Pastor, I feel like you want to say something. I've never known you when you didn't talk.
Mr. Mayor, I greatly appreciate this honor, and to the City Council, thank you for recognizing the many years of serving in this community. It is home. My parents moved to Wayne County when I was 5 months old, so I've been here 55 years, and been in the same church for 52 of those 55 years. Grew up there and began pastoring there in 1986, as you've heard, and lead pastor in 1996. So can't do it without a great teammate, and that's my soulmate, my wife, Sharon, and then my children, my boys, 3 boys, Rich, Blake, and Matthew, and then along with an incredible team, staff of Bethel Church that you see in this community all the time, working so diligently and hard to our vision to strengthen the home, change this community, to make it a better place to live, and to reach the world. We're transitioning now into my new role will be Global Leadership Pastor, as I lead an organization that's based out of Irving, Texas, the Fellowship Network, which is a global organization of 700 churches, 600 parachurch organizations, and 1,100 ministers around the country and the world. So keeps us quite busy. I was in 9 countries last year, traveled 80,000 miles. So I felt like with that kind of responsibility and then with the expanding global missions that it was time to transition the leadership and so that we could expand our ministry. And so we'll be imparting a blessing upon Pastor Daniel Weeks this coming Sunday as our new lead pastor. And you know him in this community. He's a fine young man, incredible integrity, and he will lead us to the next level at Bethel Church and will continue to be a tremendous blessing in this community. So I'm not leaving, not going anywhere, but I'm very honored to have this plaque today and this recognition today. It means an incredible blessing to me and my family to know that we have sowed in this community for so many years. Began living in Jefferson Park was our first house here in Goldsboro, and right there in those apartments. And we've seen this city grow and blessed, and I'm very proud of my city, and proud of our mayor, and proud of our city council and our community. It's an honor to serve here. God bless you all.
God bless you.
May God bless Goldsboro and Wayne County.
And one thing that I would like to say, some of the folks in here probably know, but this church probably does more to help, I'm going to call them at-risk kids. I don't know if that's the proper term, but I mean, this church goes way out to help those who need help. I mean, and Daniel's one of the best I've ever seen at doing that, and the others that y'all have. But we do want to give you recognition for that, because that does mean a lot.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Listen, what are y'all doing out there? Hey, Gene, is Jennifer out there?
Yeah.
Tell her to come on in.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
Your first public hearing item is item D. Oh. Might need some.
Is it not?
Do you mind going back one side, please? Oh, there we go, right there. I'll just ask you to advance if that's okay. Item D is Z620. It's Caps Enterprises of Greenville. The property is located on the east Ash Street between North Durant Street and Ridgewood Drive. The applicant is requesting to rezone 2 commercially developed properties from neighborhood business to general business zoning district. It does consist of 2 lots, as you see in the hatched area. You have one lot that's roughly 100-foot frontage along Ash Street. It's an existing shopping center, as well as lot 2 is roughly 100 feet along Ash Street, and it is also an existing shopping center. Surrounding zoning, to the north, you have residential R9, to the south, residential R16, and to the east and west, general business. Next slide, please. Existing use of the property, as stated, it is an existing shopping center and is approximately 16,670 square feet of shopping space. Next slide. The city's comprehensive land use plan recommends commercial development for this property, and so the proposed rezoning would be compatible with the comprehensive land use plan. Next slide. This is an existing elevation of the shopping center. Access to the property is with two 25-foot wide asphalt driveways that provide access from East Ash Street. The property is located in a special flood hazard area known as the 100-year floodplain. City water and sewer are available to serve the property. In March of 2017, the Planning Commission recommended approval of a change of zone request for the property from neighborhood business to general business conditional district with waiver of site plan at the time of rezoning. However, in April of 2017, City Council denied that change of zone. Since then, the property has been sold. The new owner applicant is seeking the rezoning change to increase the allowable uses for the site, thereby enhancing the marketability of this property to rent the individual spaces. Currently, a church, clothing store, beauty salon, sandwich shop, and a health and nutrition center occupy the commercial strip center. At this time, there is no action necessary, and the Planning Commission will have a recommendation for the council's meeting on November the 2nd. Any questions?
I have a question, because I patronize the young man's business, and the question that arose when I spoke about this property, what would differentiate this property from Heroes, which is actually closer to a residential area than this is? I think that backyard, from what I've seen, is across from the park, but Heroes is a lot closer, and even the, Brewmasters, which is near O'Reilly's, is actually closer to,
Closer to, when you reference closer to residential.
To residential, yes ma'am, sorry.
Our ordinance, with regards to general business zoning district, is permitted. It has a list of permitted uses, and then it has a list of permitted uses with city council approval, and that would be basically mean conditional use.
Yes ma'am.
Permit that would come before city council. But I don't have the list in front of me, but anything that would require conditional use obviously would come back to you for, so think of in the event of Heroes, Brewmasters is just a restaurant. Restaurants
Gotcha.
permitted by right. That does not require a conditional use permit. So if you rezone this from neighborhood business to GB, straight out, with no conditional district, a restaurant could go into, that's one example, a restaurant could go in here without coming back before city council.
Yes,
But if it becomes a place of entertainment, anything with outdoor storage, I'm trying to think of some other things that may require a conditional use permit, but it would come back to you for approval, and that would also mean that adjacent property owners are also notified.
Yes, ma'am.
Within 100 feet. But there is, even though the property directly behind this is not developed residential, it is zoned residential. So those conditional use permits and things like that and supplemental regulations is normally separation distance and things like that is based on developed and undeveloped residentially zoned property.
Thank you. Just what about the sale of alcoholic beverages in general business?
So general business could have a convenience store or some type of market that could sell alcohol, and that would not come before city council. The only time, or a restaurant, for example, that could sell alcohol, that would not come before city council. The only time that a business, that would be a place of entertainment that involves alcohol, that would be something that would come back before city council as a conditional use permit in the GB zoning district.
Well, the reason I ask is what happened back last time is there was a little nightclub there, and they served beer. Stayed there for the 11, 12, 1 in the morning, whatever.
And that's the one that we did have to put kind of a stop operating kind of thing on, because they didn't have the conditional use permit to operate a nightclub within this strip center. Now, you did have, just to the right, you did have Cameron's.
Right.
Obviously, that was a standalone, but in the shopping center, we have had to notify the previous property owner, I believe, that there was an illegal operation there and they didn't have the appropriate permits. But just say if there's a little market in there that wants to get an ABC permit, there's nothing that's preventing them that if they were, permitted by right to operate that store, and they could sell alcohol where you could go buy it and not consume it on premises.
And, what would be the issue with doing the general business with conditional use?
If you do that, they have not indicated a specific use. You would need to waive the site plan at that time, and anything that comes back before them that wants to operate there would need to come back to city council. If you were to rezone a more stricter district, which a conditional use is more restrict. You just can't go down, you can always, or excuse me, you can't go up, you can always go down. It's funny, but you can be more restrictive with your conditions on the property.
Any more questions? All right, well, this is a public hearing. I don't see anybody here wanting to talk.
I believe there's someone here representing
Oh,
the
really?
applicant, yes, sir.
Who's
I'll
gonna let
send them
in?
in if.
Hey, how are you guys? I'm Ashley Capps. This is Mr. Perez. He's one of the tenants here at the Ash Street Strip Center. Just wanted to thank you guys for letting us be here, and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I think we've asked Jennifer the pertinent questions here already.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, I just would like to thank you for taking the time, and thank you for taking the time, and I've been working on this for a long time. Might have been some accusations before that might not be all the way through. I also got proper proof to prove that as well, that I have my proper licensing for me to do what I was doing. It was all a misunderstanding, and it just been following me on paper, but I'm trying to do it right this time. So if y'all would take in consideration, every other business around is already a general business. We're the only one that are a neighborhood business. It's kind of like patch zoning. So we're just trying to make the whole block right. And I don't have no neighborhood around it, like other businesses around it. So I just would like you guys to take that in consideration. Thank you.
What are your hours?
Well, right now I'm operating from 11:30 to 5 o'clock when I run out of food. But when I do my private events, I do them after 9 o'clock when all the businesses are closed on the plaza. And I make sure I clean up the plaza as well. Make sure I hire the proper security. So basically I just serve like private birthday parties or private wedding receptions. I do not have an alcohol license, so I don't sell alcohol. But in the future, I want to apply for the proper permits so I can maybe move forward towards that. But right now, all I want to do is be able to host private events at the establishment and be able to promote the establishment for people to come. But that will be a next hearing to apply for a place of entertainment. That way I can host events like that. But the first step is just turning into general business from neighborhood business. So that's what we're here for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer, does anybody else want to speak? Say?
That's the only.
Okay. All right, well, we'll close this public hearing for item D and move to item E.
Next slide, please, Melissa. Item E is Z720, and this is Wayne Oil Company. The property is located on the northwest corner of Wayne Memorial Drive and 4th Street. The applicant's requesting to rezone a portion of the subject property from neighborhood business to general business zoning district. The requested zoning will be associated with the recombination of 2 individual lots. As you can see there, it's kind of funny with the, you do have 2 lots. Yeah, this thing is, we need some batteries. Yeah. The hatched area is actually part of the overall lot that you see that is listed as neighborhood business, and you see to the right, you see it says general business conditional district. That is your first lot, the larger lot. Your second lot is that smaller square within the hatched area that you can see with a black line. So those are the 2 lots in question. So the area to be proposed for rezoning is roughly 70,154 square feet, or 1.62 acres, and currently is zoned neighborhood business. Surrounding zoning, to the north, you have residential R9. To the south, you have residential R9, office and institutional, and neighborhood business. And to the east, you have neighborhood business, and to the west, you have neighborhood business and residential R9. Next slide. The subject properties are currently occupied by existing business, and as we know, is Wayne Oil Company. Next slide, please, Melissa. The city's comprehensive land use plan recommends commercial development for this property, and the proposed rezoning would be compatible with the comprehensive land use plan. Next slide. The property is not located in a special flood hazard area. City water and sewer are available to serve the property. And in January of 2017, Goldsboro City Council approved a change of zone request for a portion of this property from neighborhood business to general business conditional district, which limited the use of the property to a retail sales or sale of auto parts and accessories. As of to date, that property has not been developed. Thank you. The remaining portion of the property is now being considered for sale and commercial development. At this time, we spoke with the applicant. There is no specific site plans or any use for this property. Again, it's one of those marketability things that the applicant is wishing to rezone to general business. So kind of same scenario as previously presented. At this time, no action is necessary, and the Planning Commission will have a recommendation for council's meeting on November the 2nd. This is the view from Wayne Memorial Drive. This is the existing building, Wayne Oil. The property that was previously rezoned in 2017 is here to your right. And again, it was for an auto sales, accessories, that sort of thing. I believe it was O'Reilly's, but it has not been developed. Again, this is your view from 4th Street, and the applicant does intend to remove all buildings, and you would see a vacant piece of property there. The applicant is present as well. Any questions?
Do they want to speak?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are y'all? I assume we got a mayor present and then a chairman of the planning board, is that what we've got tonight?
You got the mayor and city council and management.
Okay, all right, well, anyway, I'm Mike Baldwin, and I'm representing Mr. John here, who has, and the way I got connected in this, I work for the two guys that plan to, and I think with the sketch and everything that I provided Kenny, the cat's kind of out the bag of what the use is that we'd like to put there. I do work for them, so I'm kind of dovetailing on the rezoning in helps of getting this rezoned where we can move forward with that. When I initially submitted the request, I didn't realize that Goldsboro had conditional use zoning. So, you know, and I've talked to Mr. John about this as well. If there's some heartburn with all the uses that are allowed in the general business, we don't have a problem with, you know, a conditional use for a car wash zoning on this piece of land, on this certain parcel out of the larger parcel that Mr. John owns. If any of you are in Greenville on a regular basis, this facility is just like the one that they just built out near Hastings Ford kind of on the northeast side of the town before you go across the river. They're going to emulate it exactly. These guys, they have several of these locations. I don't know. There's two owners, Hal Chambliss and Chris Tyndall. I don't know Hal as well as I do Chris, but Chris is the one, kind of the on-scenes guys who's at their facilities. He was catcher on ECU's baseball team back when he was there. But Hal's from Rocky Mount, and I assume y'all have seen the sketch that I thought when I emailed it this morning to Kenny. Can y'all pass it on? I'm sorry, y'all. I got the cart before a horse thinking y'all had seen a sketch.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Can you explain the sketch a little bit? It's going to be right over here on 4th Street.
Yeah, yes, sir. The entrances are going, the entrance and exit's going to be off 4th Street. Yes, sir.
Okay, and for clarity, what's this going to be?
A drive-through car wash,
Okay,
and then with your vacuum bays out in the parking area.
because you have houses that are directly across from there.
Okay?
And my concern is, you know, you're looking out your home and you see a car wash and people coming up there consistently. You got elderly people that live right across from there. What are you going to do to screen that particular area? Is it going to be a screen at all?
No, I think you got the wrong,
Interject 1 minute. It was not advertised for a conditional district. Therefore, a site plan and everything will have to come back. My recommendation, if they are ready to move forward with the site plan, because we advertised the public hearing, we had to hold the public hearing. It would be one of those things where the recommendation of the planning commission would deny the request without prejudice, and then they could come back and reapply for conditional district zoning and submit the site plan to staff at the appropriate time to review the site plan and make sure we have landscape and all that stuff when we come back for city council.
Yeah, I mean, because, I mean, this is just a shocker to me.
Tonight is strictly a public hearing, and we just found out about or I did. Kenny, I think we've known in a couple of days, but it was too late past the public hearing as far as the advertisement, so we had to move forward with the way it was originally requested and advertised. So the recommendation, if this is what they want to use the site for, would need to come back. If they have a specific use and this is what they wanted approved for, we would ask for conditional district at that time.
Yeah, because I just, you know, I drove by there actually today. I didn't see any conditional signs or anything.
Because when it was originally applied for, it was for general business, conventional zoning.
Okay, so you can continue though, sir. Thank you.
Well, let me just, you know, I don't think with a conditional use zoning in place like y'all have, I think it's more appropriate that this is, you know, a conditional use rezoning request for the intended use rather than a carte blanche, everything that's allowed in your permitted uses rezoning request. You know, don't think, you know, with putting this in an email this morning, I don't think it's fair to y'all to, you know, on short notice to be able to, you know, have many questions formulated. I'm just calling it like I'm seeing it. You know, if I was in y'all's position, Mr. John, if you have any.
The only thing I would ask is, can we ask for a waiver of the site plan for tonight, so we don't get out of sequence for the next?
We won't deny it anyway.
Okay.
It goes to the planning
yeah,
commission.
we're not taking action on it tonight anyway.
Yeah, this is just a informational type meeting, yes, sir. But, Mr. Williams, you know, I think it would, you know, I'd like to answer and funnel any questions tonight that you have, and then that maybe I need to follow up with Kenny in the morning to see procedurally how we need to get from point where we're at now.
Yeah, like, overall, like the council said, it's going to go through the planning process. You know, I'm just, you know, my concern was that we hadn't had any notice out there. Doesn't mean I'm for it or against it.
Right.
You know, of course, I'd like to see more details, if that can be given to us.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
But, so, Don't misconstrue that, I'm just
Oh, no,
concerned.
and I appreciate your candor.
Yes, sir.
How long will it take y'all to finish the plans, to have the plans ready?
Mr. Allen, I need to see, just Town of Goldsboro's, City of Goldsboro's checklist to see just how inclusive the plan needs to be for a rezoning, a conditional use rezoning, application. You know, does it need to be a full-blown site plan with all the impervious areas, parking areas, things like that, grading plan, stormwater plan and things? So I need to,
Jennifer can direct you good on that.
yeah, and I can probably just go to y'all's website and, or, yeah,
We would need landscape and building elevation, site plan, grading.
okay, kind of, so, okay, all right.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is this a manned or unmanned car wash? And what are the hours of operation?
It is manned,
Okay.
and the hours of operation are 8 to 7 on, I get the daylight savings times mixed up, 8 to 7 on the short days and 8 to 8 on the long days.
Thank you.
So for now, we're not gonna do anything. I mean, it's gonna go to the planning
It's
commission.
a public hearing, it will go to planning commission for a recommendation for your November 2nd meeting. And again, keep in mind, you can go more restrictive and you have the ability of waiving the site plan, and when the site plan would come through at the next cycle. But the problem is the way the adjacent property owners were notified, it would be as if it was strictly general business and anything and everything could go there. The property owners were not properly
Notified of what
for
they're trying to
knowing
do.
a specific use regarding car wash.
And I think it's just my opinion that you'd be better off to notify the property owners what you're trying to do than rather go to just general business.
Mr. Allen, I agree,
Yeah, I
that's
think
why.
that'd be-
And just to let the applicant know, if the recommendation became denied without prejudice, we could get you back on, you wouldn't be losing any time, because without prejudice, they would just strictly deny you, you'd have to wait 6 months. to
Right,
do another
unless you
request.
do a substantial change,
If they were to give you without prejudice, then we can meet you right back on the cycle and go back through the process and properly advertise it for a conditional district, and when you have.
All right, can I just call you directly tomorrow?
Absolutely.
You can, talk, just get the little kinks worked out.
All right. Anything else?
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Strickland, I've never seen you with so much patience.
I'm not in charge.
Thank y'all.
Have a good night. All right, next we got Jones Sawmill. I guess there's two of those.
All right, item F is Z820, and that's Jones Sawmill North, and the property is located on the northwest corner of Belfast Road and I-795. The applicant's requesting to rezone the subject property from R20A, which is residential, to General Industry Conditional District. We refer to that as I2CD, in order to limit the use of the property to a commercial sawmill. In conjunction with the rezoning request, the applicant is requesting or has to request separate site plan approval as required by the city's Unified Development Ordinance. The proposed change of zone request is associated with, and we'll follow that with the next item, which is a conditional use permit request, CU 620, and the related site plans. More than half of the subject property is located within the city limits of Goldsboro. A portion of the subject property is located within Wayne County. County officials have given us a written agreement to relinquish jurisdictional authority to the city of Goldsboro. The portion that is within the city limits is in the hatched area here. This is the portion that's within Wayne County and also has the Wayne County airport overlay. The surrounding zoning to the north, you have residential conditional district and the county airport. To the south, you have Wayne County residential agricultural, which is RA20, and the Wayne County airport overlay. To the east, you have general business and residential R16, and to the west, you have residential conditional district. The subject property is currently clear and vacant, as you can see in the aerial, and also adjacent to a solar farm in I-795. The city's comprehensive land use plan recommends a portion of the property for industrial development and the remaining acreage for medium-density residential development. The property is not located in a special flood hazard area, and city water and sewer are not available to serve the property. Water will be provided by a private underground water well. Sewer will be obtained through the use of private on-site septic pump and waste systems in accordance with the Wayne County Environmental Health Department. Approximately 5.76 acres is located within the Wayne County's Airport Overlay District. Wayne County Planning and Airport officials have been advised of the applicant's proposed rezoning request, and as of date, no comments or requirements from Wayne County have been communicated to city officials. It is our understanding from the applicant that no development will occur within that portion of the Wayne County property or the overlay district, Airport Overlay District. At this time, no action is necessary, and the Planning Commission will have a recommendation for the council's meeting on November the 2nd. The next item or public hearing item will go into more detail regarding the site plan. The applicant is present, but I have asked them to wait until after the next item. But I will definitely check to see if there's anyone here to speak more in favor or opposition of the rezoning request. This is a view from 795. You will see the solar farm is here, but this is more of the area in which the sawmill, you will see the sawmill. This is a view from Beston Road. You do cross 795 on Belfast Road, Again, these existing trees remain and will remain, and the sawmill will be in this area. This is the portion you see from 795, which is kind of the airport in the Wayne County portion of the property. And then this is a view from Belfast Road where you will enter the property. They are looking for a driveway roughly right around here, and they would come this way and then access the property is at the rear back here. They do not have direct frontage on Belfast Road.
Any questions?
Jennifer, is this the area that the homeowners objected to before with the people over in North Hill, the North Arden Eden Street? Did we have?
Objected, not, I mean, I'm not aware of any of that.
I may be thinking about
He's
this.
talking about the solar farm that was over, further back toward the church.
You go out towards Salem Church Road, all those development at
Oh, yeah,
Salem
no,
Church
this
Road.
is different location.
Yeah, and I think, wasn't that about being annexed? Or that we want
I
to,
thought it was a solar farm.
huh?
I thought it was a solar farm that they,
Are you talking about the one that's adjacent to the Dollar General?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So Jennifer, you said they'll be widening that road in order?
At this time, there's no requirement of NCD. This is because Belfast is an NCDOT road, and there's no requirements at this time for them to do improvements to Belfast.
No, I'm talking about the driveway. If it's
Oh,
approved.
they'll obtain an easement, and it would just be a gravel drive that would get you to access the property off of
Because
Belfast.
I drove by there and it's kind of, I don't know if they're going to be having big tractor trailers or what, but it's kind of dangerous going in it like it is currently.
But I can get into more detail of the circulation of the site when we get into, because the sawmill does require a conditional use permit, which is why we have I'm presenting it separately. It has to have a separate hearing.
Any more questions?
Let me
All right.
just check and make sure there's not anyone out there that needs to speak regarding the rezoning request part.
Okay.
No. I can't. There's very few houses over there, though.
Yeah, it's not,
Yeah, they're way down that way.
it's not a very big sawmill either. I mean, I don't think it'll be.
Only thing that's over there is a dollar store.
You do have the property owner and the applicant outside present, but they will like to speak once I've completed with the conditional use permit part. Okay. So your last public hearing item is item G, and it is a conditional use permit request, CU 620 for the Jones Sawmill. And again, the property is located on the northwest corner of Belfast Road and I-795. The conditional use permit and related site plan is associated with the rezoning request Z820 as I previously presented. If the Goldsboro City Council approves the applicant's rezoning request from R20A to General Industry Conditional District, the use of the property will be limited for the operation of a commercial sawmill. A commercial sawmill does require a conditional use permit when located in the General I-2 zoning district. The property is currently clear and vacant, and the property is located directly east of an existing solar farm. In July of 2015, Goldsboro City Council approved a change of zone from R40 to R20A Residential Conditional District to allow the development of the solar farm. The submitted site plan indicates 4 commercial buildings to be utilized in the operation of the business. You have a 300 square foot metal office building, which will serve as the principal structure in the operation of the business. You have a 2,500 square foot metal storage shelter that will be open to serve as an add-on on the principal building. You have a 612 square foot commercial dry kiln which is proposed behind the proposed storage shelter area. And then you also have a 1,200 square foot commercial sawmill. A floor plan has also been provided which shows the floor plan of that office, the main principal building. It shows an office, restrooms for the customers and employees, storage areas, and 3 service bays. Hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturdays will vary. The applicant intends to have 4 employees. The applicant has proposed a new 24-foot wide driveway cut off Belfast Road to access the site. Belfast Road is an NCDOT maintained road, and the applicant has consulted with NCDOT and has been made aware of the fact that there's a driveway permit that is required. However, no other roadway improvements are necessary at this time. NCDOT has indicated that they will reevaluate the property in 1 year, and at that time, they will determine if a turn lane is needed on Belfast Road to accommodate the truckload and the traffic of the startup sawmill. The site has no frontage along Belfast Road. As such, a proposed 50-foot easement off Belfast Road will provide access to the site as well as to the employee and commercial trucking parking spaces. The applicant is proposing a 20-foot wide gravel access road for approximately 1,000 feet since heavy log trucking operations will be conducted on site. Log trucks will enter and exit the site off Belfast Road. Parking for the sawmill requires 1 space per 2 employees on the maximum shift, plus 1 space for each vehicle stored on site. A total of 4 employee parking spaces have been proposed, as well as the required handicap accessible parking space. According to the applicant, there will be no overnight parking conducted on the site. The property is not located in a special flood hazard area, and the city water and sewer are not available to serve the property. Private water and on-site waste disposal systems will be incorporated. Grading and drainage plans have not been submitted at this time, and the applicant will be required to submit plans in accordance with the city's engineering standards before any permits are released. With the sawmill, there are supplemental regulations required within our ordinance in addition to the land use requirements, and there's 5 of those. The first one is the entire side of the site shall be enclosed by a 6-foot height opaque fence set back 100 feet from any public right-of-way or residentially developed or zoned property, and/or 50 feet from any other adjacent property. The yard area between the fence and the property line not used for parking shall be planted with grass and have landscaping composed of large trees spaced not more than 50 feet apart and not less than one row of shrubs 30 inches in height, spaced so that they will form a continuous visual screen 6 feet in height over 3 growing seasons. Number 3 is there's no loading or unloading of materials that shall occur outside of this fenced area. And number 4, the applicant has to provide us a statement that shall be submitted with the plans indicating whether any of the manufacturing or processing of the operation will create smoke, offensive odor, dust, noise, fumes, or vibrations beyond the lot lines of the proposed use. If one or more of such conditions exist, the developer shall explain what measures will be taken to mitigate such conditions to acceptable levels. And the final item is the use shall be located a minimum of 1,000 feet from any residentially developed or zoned property. The 1,000-foot separation distance shall be measured in a straight line from the property line to property line with no consideration as to intervening structures, roads, or landforms. The applicant is requesting a modification of item number 5 that I just discussed with regards to the separation distance from residentially zoned and developed property that is located within 1,000 feet of the subject property. I just want to go back and touch base with you on what that is. So we'll use this map. Because none of the development is taking place in the Wayne County jurisdiction here, we're using this as the property line for the limits of disturbance, which the sawmill will go in the city of Goldsboro's jurisdiction here. From this property line over to here, which this property is zoned R16 here. So from here, we measure a straight line to that property line, and that gives you roughly 680 feet. Because our ordinance requires us to not include the right-of-way of the road, we subtract that out. That right-of-way is roughly 290. So the modification of 1,000 feet from this property line over to this zone property is roughly 390 feet. From this side, it would have to be down to 0 because your solar farm is zoned R20A, which is residential agricultural use. So you would have to go from 1,000 feet to 0 for adjacent to the solar farm, and you would have to go from 1,000 to 380 because it is based off developed or zoned residential property. If you did not include the separation of the road, of course, it would be 680, but our ordinance states that you do have to eliminate that right-of-way or that road. And the only developed residential you have is kind of off the screen. You do have some residential developed property here, and I just did the math for that, but that one meets the 1,000 distance requirement. So even with taking out the road, it gets you right at 1,084 feet from the sawmill to what I consider developed residential property. And finally, the applicant is requesting a waiver of the fencing and landscaping requirements for a period not to exceed 1 year from the site plan approval. And the applicant can speak to that if you have any questions regarding that waiver of that requirement. At this time, no action is necessary, and the Planning Commission will have a recommendation for council on November the 2nd.
Any questions?
I just want to show, real quick, I want to show you, this is the pictures that the applicant has provided of us regarding the structures that will be on site. This is an example of what they're looking at for that office where the restrooms and the bay areas are. It will have an attached storage area, kind of an open shelter attached to it. This is the equipment associated with the sawmill. You actually have the commercial sawmill here. This is the loader that they will use to load the logs off and on the truck. And then here's the kiln that obviously will heat the lumber and treat it. And then these are the same pictures I actually showed regarding the site itself during the rezoning request. Again, this is from 795. This is from Belfast Road and 70. You can see the crossing of 795. And then this is looking back the way they will enter the site. They will enter here, follow an easement along this way, and then they'll get to the back of the site. And that will be the access, the way the trucks enter and exit the site. That's all I have, and the applicant and the property owner are present.
They're what?
They're present, they're here to speak, I'm sorry.
They're pregnant.
Y'all got any questions?
All right, you gonna let them come in?
A conditional use, so they'll need to be sworn in.
Not the right.
Guys, I'll have to swear you in since it's conditional use, so if you guys that plan to speak, if you'll just place your hand on, place your right. Left hand. Raise your right. Do you swear or affirm the comments you're about to provide are the whole truth and nothing but the truth of God? Thank you. You can go right up there to the podium. Do you guys plan on speaking as well?
I'm the owner.
Are you gonna speak?
Go ahead and swear you in, just in case. Uh-huh.
Bill knows what to do. He's been to the podium before.
He's been here before.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Do I start now?
Yes, sir.
Councilman and Mayor, I am William D. Lane. I live at 2307 Salem Church Road, but everybody knows me as Bill. I love Goldsboro and I love the history of it. I've been born and raised here. And when I was a little boy, my daddy was in the timber business. He had a sawmill, and there were like 10 or 15 sawmills all over Wayne County in Goldsboro. And today, there are none. Timber has been a real historical part of Wayne County. Go back to 1850, it was the wealth of the county. And I know many of y'all have seen it, and it's gone to like big sawmills. And if I want a board for my truck, because I load my equipment on it, and I don't want to go slide off on the metal, they don't even want to see me. I got to go to another county to find anything. So when the word's been out that there was going to be a sawmill, I've had a lot of people ask me all about it. They want to have a sawmill. If they got a lot and they got a load of timber on it and they want to get it cut, they won't take it somewhere and get it sawed. I personally think the sawmill will add a whole lot to Goldsboro. We do not have anything like that now. Any questions?
I didn't know we didn't have any more sawmills. That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
How are y'all?
Okay.
Good. My name's Brandon Jones. I am the one that's starting the sawmill. Just so you know, the name of it will be A.G. Parker Lumber Company. I'm a forester with 16 years experience with an associate degree in forestry from right here in Wayne community. I'm excited to bring a new business to Wayne County. I would like to start a sawmill operation off of Belfast Road. As you've seen, new business means jobs and revenue for the county, city, and state. It means putting a paycheck back in the family's household. It means teaching and learning from individuals and making new friends. It means growing our already great county and city with an already great industry. I have been in contact with several lumber buyers, and we are all set to hit the ground running when we open up. She had mentioned the number 4, I think number 4 item, mitigation statement. I wanted to read that to you guys real quick. A.G. Parker Lumber will do whatever means necessary to keep any noise or dust pollution down to a minimum on or beyond sawmill site. We believe the highway noise will drown most of the saws and equipment out. All noise from equipment will be during normal business working hours, Monday through Friday, 7 to 5.
There will be no loud equipment at night. We're having all of our equipment trucks operate and drive slow while on property to keep the dust down. Because the site is located many feet off the road and tucked away behind a solar farm, we feel good about the general public's safety and concern. Looking forward, we will look at planting a barrier of cedar trees in areas on the property to mitigate traveling noise if it becomes a concern. A few more descriptions in the pictures that Jennifer showed you. We're going to be sawing all southern yellow pine lumber. We're going to be doing 8x8s and 4x10s and 1x8s and 1x6. Rough cut, dry. I'm predicting, estimating 25 to 35 log trucks per month in the first year. She already told you what the operating hours are, 7 to 5, Monday through Friday, some Saturdays, I'm sure. And then speaking on the I-2 general industry zoning regulations about the fence and the landscaping, I am requesting a 1-year time extension because it was not figured prior to the project. So when we get rolling and get some money turning, we'll certainly erect a fence and your landscaping, and then she's already spoke on the 1,000-foot modification. So that's pretty much all I've got to say, and I'll take any questions now.
I just have a question. How many jobs do you project that you'll bring in? How will you go about the recruiting process as far as coming into the area?
In the first year, I'm looking at, including myself, 4 to 5 employees. And then, you mean recruiting more employees?
Well, as far as how you're going to hire people or how you're going to solicit people to come to work, or you already have your staff?
No, I'm still working on the staff.
Okay.
So, early on, I will plan to probably Facebook and word of mouth and friends and churches, things like that will be how we do it, in the beginning until we can find a better process for hiring.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
So you're going to keep the same look, that building that's currently there, or are you going to tear it down?
So this is actually Dixie paint.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard your comment earlier, and this is a very dangerous access. This is right after the overpass. So me and Mr. Beal got together on bringing the easement further this way. So traffic coming in and out will have a better visual looking both ways, so it'll be more safer. Mm-hmm. But this is Dixie paint, and they'd probably like it if we left it there.
Okay. Okay.
Any more questions?
All right, thank y'all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's the last of our public hearings. Next, we have our consent agenda.
Yes, sir. Consent agenda items H through M are presented for council approval.
Move to approve consent agenda items H through M.
Second.
You second it? Any discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Allen,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Pro Tem Broadway,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Councilmember Pollack,
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews,
Yes.
Councilmember Ham,
Yes.
Councilmember Aycock.
He's not here. The consent agenda passes. Items requiring individual action, downtown lights up. We already did that, correct?
Well,
Well,
you had a
we just need to
discussion,
vote on
but you didn't vote on it, whether you wanted to approve
Okay.
the street closure or
What
not.
would y'all like to do with lights up?
Mayor, I interject just a procedural matter. Councilmember Aycock left because if you're here, and you don't ask to be excused, and you leave during the meeting, then any vote is counted as a yes.
Okay.
Just a procedural.
We'll tell that to Melissa.
We discussed it all.
Okay. As long as y'all good.
I make a
Mayor
motion.
Allen. Oh, I'm sorry.
I make a motion that we don't approve that item because of the health concerns and the health ramifications to the community.
Now, you talking about downtown lights up?
Yes, sir.
I thought we talked in there about approving.
But we didn't vote on it, remember?
Okay. There's a motion that we don't approve this item. Is there a second? Hearing none, the motion fails. Does anybody
So I
else
have a
have?
question, if I may.
Sure.
So we, with the parade, we were talking about a virtual option. And I know Erin mentioned that she would have a virtual option, but she still wanted to do the in-person. Is it possible to eliminate the in-person? And I know that kind of sucks for the trolleys and all the other stuff, but do you think that's an option? Because I mean, for the in-person to cancel it for the parade, I don't feel comfortable with saying yes with the same in-person for the lights up downtown.
Well, that's a question over my pay grade. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, if y'all want to do it, or we can ask downtown for more input.
I thought we were going to ask for more info to determine if we could have virtual. That was my understanding.
That was for the parade, right? Not for downtown?
For the lights up. Not the parade, but the lights up.
I'm sorry, I don't remember anything about it.
There is some aspect of it that will be done virtually, that will be recorded and can be done virtually. But obviously, Erin is asking to hold the event in the way she presented it. I think the trolley rides are probably less dangerous than getting on GWTA vehicle. They both, as I understand it, skip spaces between rows, but this is outdoors, so it should be better than being in a vehicle. So I don't think that's an issue. But if you're concerned about the overall crowd numbers being excessive, then that's a concern.
Well, I don't know if anyone has ever experienced people waiting in line for the trolley rides, and we have massive lines. So those are my concerns. I mean, whatever the council suggests on doing, that's, where it's at. But I think if we're going to cancel the Christmas parade, the same thing should go for lights up. If we're concerned about people's health.
I have the same concerns about lights up that I have had for the Christmas parade. And most of the congregation is right out here in front of City Hall, especially for trolley rides. And I've worked the trolley rides 3 or 4 times, and they are excessively long. I believe I heard her say they were going to double the number of trolleys this year. Is that correct?
I think it's 3 times. How many trolleys do they normally have? 1 stop, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to have 3 different stops, 2 trolleys each.
Yeah. So increasing the numbers would hopefully eliminate a lot of the standing in line coast like they have been in the past. But that still is an issue that I think would need a lot of planning and oversight. I hate to say that I'm opposed to a Christmas parade and the lights up, but it is a concern that I have.
I realize there's a motion on the floor. I think Councilmember Williams made it, but I think if we can find out before the next meeting if there's a deadline as to the information that we receive from them, as well as the downtown commission to see if we can do, the virtual option on that. Because I know, like I said, there's a time frame, but like I said, it's a health concern, of course. I know she said the numbers up to 5,000. I don't think the parade, I could be wrong, but I don't know if the parade would generate that many because they don't have the concessions at the parades like they do at Lights Up. And also with that, you have to put it also in the equation. The downtown businesses that are in operation, you can't prohibit them from operating during the time of this. So I'm scared we're going to have people coming from outside of these restaurants and adding to the numbers. And, but in reference to the safety issue, I will make a second on that motion that Councilman Member Williams put on the floor, just to second that motion.
And your motion was to cancel it, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're seconding the
Yes.
motion to cancel, all right? Any more discussion, comments? All right, all those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Opposed? I think you voted yes to cancel it. Okay, so passes that will cancel it.
4-3 that
No,
motion
4-2.
passes, I understand it, which will cancel the...
4-2. Oh, he said he's here, yeah.
5 to 2.
No, he has,
He counts yes.
he votes for the motion, yes.
Okay. All right, so 5-2. All right. Then and we're not going to worry about trying to do anything different. We're just going to cancel it.
That was going to be my question. The virtual, I was going to ask, did that eliminate the virtual option?
Well, we can look into making sure that we throw the lights in a ceremony or something with a small group of people and videotape it, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
Well, just know what I think she's saying is check in with DGDC and see is there a different, I mean, because I don't think we knew this was coming.
Okay.
Because Aaron said that there was going to be a hybrid option, so it was going, some of it was going to be
Okay.
virtual. I was just wondering,
Can she do, what can she do?
yeah.
Let's just hear what she
Let's hear what she can say, yeah, all right. Well, we need to go ahead and do that, we don't need to wait till the next meeting, okay? I mean, if we can get some kind of legitimate answer,
Okay,
I think it'd be better,
all right.
because that's,
I think that the logistics of the lights up is quite a bit less than a parade.
oh, absolutely.
So if situation was to change, either by doing somewhat virtually or receiving further guidance on lessening the restrictions of meetings, we could probably, I say we, the city, could probably do a lights up. But under the situation now, I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay. Well, right now, it's not gonna happen, so that's that. City manager's report?
Yes, sir. Just give you a bit of an update on what the county's experiencing as far as COVID. This last week, on the 13th of October, they had the highest number of cases in one day since April, which was 47. That said, the active cases are about half of what they were in June, 337. When in June, it was 619. So overall, the numbers are down a little bit, but we do have a recent spike going on. Of the total positive Wayne County tests, 90% have recovered, 8% are estimated active, and 2% have ended in death. So those are consistent statistics that we're seeing at this time to consider. It was mentioned that the Veterans Day Parade has been canceled, the Christmas Parade has been canceled, and the Downtown Lights Up has been canceled. There was a nice art installation ceremony last Friday where we had a small group of people down at the hub using that for the first venue. It was a very nice ceremony, and so we now have 9 pieces of art up and down Center Street from Ash to Elm, and people can view those art exhibits. We had a committee of 25 people make the selections with over 280 comments from citizens, so many thanks to all those who participated. That's all I have, sir.
All right. We've got a resolution expressing appreciation for services rendered by Tony Gardner as an employee.
I have that, sir. I have resolution number 2020-68, resolution expressing appreciation for services rendered by Tony Gardner as an employee of the city of Goldsboro for more than 20 years. Whereas Tony Gardner retires on November 1st, 2020 as a plant maintenance mechanic with the Public Utilities Department of the city of Goldsboro with more than 20 years of service. Whereas Tony began his career on May the 8th, 2000 as a wastewater treatment operator 2 with the Public Utilities Department. And whereas on September the 2nd, 2009, Tony was promoted to a plant maintenance mechanic with the Public Utilities Department, where he has served until his retirement. Whereas Tony has proven himself to be a dedicated and official public service who has gained the admiration, respect of his fellow workers and citizens of the city of Goldsboro. And whereas the mayor and city council of the city of Goldsboro are desirous on behalf of themselves, city employees, and the citizens of the city of Goldsboro of expressing to Tony Gardner their deep appreciation and gratitude for the services rendered by him to the city over the years. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of Goldsboro, North Carolina, that we express to Tony our very best wishes for success, happiness, prosperity, and good health in his future endeavors. This resolution shall be incorporated into the official minutes of the city of Goldsboro and shall be in full force and effect from and after this 19th day of October 2020. That's all.
That's a motion, right?
Yes, I make a motion. We accept that resolution.
Second.
Did you second it? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, likewise. All right, motion, the resolution passes. Next, we got, Councilman Comments. Mr. Ham? No. Ms. Matthews?
No comment.
I provided y'all with a flyer for a food giveaway, be hosted in District 3. Please join Wayne County Public Schools parent educator Cynthia Kennan in partnership with the 3-in-1 Family Center and Dillard Goldsboro Alumni and Friends Incorporated for a food box giveaway. This event is open to all Wayne County families. The time will be October 29th, 2020, which is on a Thursday, and it'll be at the Dillard Goldsboro Alumni Cultural Center, 801 Poplar Street, Goldsboro, North Carolina. The time will be between 9:30 to 2, so I encourage all of my colleagues to, put it on your Facebook page if it's not too late to put on the city, because this will be a food box giveaway. I also want to encourage everybody to vote. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Broadway?
No comment, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I just want to encourage you, I'm going to piggyback off of Mr. Polak. Get out and vote, educate yourself, and get accurate information. You can contact our local Board of Elections for election questions, or you can go to their website. Also, information is available at vote.org. Our community is dependent on you. In some countries, people don't have the privilege to vote, so use your right and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, thank you, everybody, for being in attendance or online or whatever, and I hope everybody has a good night. Thank you.